Okay. So Java Server Pages is one of the many components of Java Enterprise Edition. So the main idea of Java Enterprise Edition is to be able to do Java programming at server level. So all your code runs on the server, and you can talk to that server using some kind of a client interface. That client interface could be a Java application that is built in JavaFX or Swing, or it could be a web-based solution like coming in through a web browser and talking to a server. So the server applications could be housed in Java Web Server, or could be housed in Java Application Server, or combination of the two. Basically, when we create these kind of applications, we call them multi-tier applications. Okay? So you have probably worked with multi-tier applications in other classes as well. For example, in C# with Alan, have you guys started talking with DB2 yet?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you probably have at one tier, you have your C# application, and then the other tier, you have your database connectivity. And then, are you guys also going into ASP.NET? Slightly. Okay, so that adds the layer of your web layer in between your client and web, and then you have your data layer. So something very similar we'll be doing in this class as well. So as you can see at the top, you have your application client, and we have your web browser, web pages, all of that stuff is at the client tier. So in your final project that you'll be working on, you'll be building multi-tier application. So you'll have your first tier, which will be a combination of client-side pages. Then you will have those client-side pages talking to server-side pages, and those server-side pages will be talking to the data on your behalf. So your final application will revolve around the idea of read, update, insert, delete, those kind of operations. Okay. So for example, a few years ago in the same class, a girl built a project about dog shelter. So the project goes around the same parameters that you should have a login and log out, just like a website. You should be able to log in to access the site, and you should be able to sign out of it. So that's called session management, which we'll learn about, not today, but next week we'll learn about the session management. So when we learn about session management, you should be able to go back to your project and apply the session management, what is login and what is login and how to build that stuff. Also, this week, your concentration will mostly be on creating the basic template of your theme, whatever project you pick. So she picked a dog shelter application in which after you log in, you can insert new dogs to the shelter. You can update the status of the existing dogs in the shelter. You could remove the dogs that have left the shelter, and you should be able to look at all the dogs in the shelter. It was a very simple application. And very similarly, some people have built this kind of application around the inventory system. You should be able to add a product, remove a product, update a product, view all the products. Okay. Some people have done user management system that I should be able to add members, remove members, update members, view all the members. So it's just basic idea. So you guys need to think of an idea that you want to execute in these parameters. And then you will be going in the backend in the DB2, creating the table, maybe adding a few records to start with, and then you can test the rest with your application, putting in more data, deleting existing data, updating existing data, viewing existing data. So those will be your operation. And since it will be login protected, so nobody can just jump to one of the pages, even if they have the URL to view it. So that's what the session management does. When you have pages via session management, if somebody has the URL of the page, they just put the URL in the browser, they are redirected to the login page because the session is not valid. And that's what you notice even in websites which require login. So for example, if I logged into my email account and I logged out, but somebody got the URL of my login, right? So when they paste that in the address bar, what does it do? Redirects them to login page. It doesn't let them view the page. So that's exactly what we will be learning, session management. So here, as you can see in this example, that you have the top layer, you have the middle layer, and you have the data layer. And that's exactly something similar that we will be building. Java server pages, or JSP, and servlets, those are the two items that you see in the web tier. Those two components together help you build your web applications. There's another technology which we will incorporate called Java Beans. Java Beans is a component programming of Java, just like coffee beans, because the whole idea of Java is revolving around coffee. So that's why the zip file is called jar, which is Java archive. So Java Beans are components which you could plug and play. So this sort of kind of gives you an idea of a service-based architecture, but it's called component-based architecture. So you can build those little components like classes that you could plug into your application to do some things. So we'll also be looking at the Java Bean component. They're optional. They're not required to be in this architecture, but we'll learn about those. So this web tier is what we'll be mainly working on. And you will be bringing in your knowledge from internet programming, CSS, JavaScript, HTML to build that entire look and feel of your website. And then you will marry that with the JSP servlet stuff, which will give you the server side of it. And then the JSP servlet will talk to the databases to get the data going back and forth, because client-side technologies cannot directly talk to the databases. Does that make sense? People in Zoom, do you guys have any questions? Luke, yeah, Luke or Jessica?
Nope, no questions.
Okay. So did you understand the whole process that you'll be going through for the next month?
And it's really like
Yeah, it makes sense.
kind of solo.
Yeah, it is individual project. It's not a group project.
No, I mean like. Basically giving us this briefing of what we're gonna make and we got.
Yeah, so basically I'm just giving you a briefing. Every class I will tell you what components of today's class will go in your project. So then you will tailor it to your project.
Very good.
Okay. Okay. So another look at the same stuff could be in this way, where you have outside browser or a Java client coming into your Java Enterprise Edition layer, which has your web container with your JSP servlets, WebSockets, web services, JSF tags. And then if need be, we'll need the other services like security or JDBC or transaction management or Java messaging services. These are some of the services available on the server. Again, it's a combination of web and application server. And then application server also support a special type of beans called EJBs, Enterprise Java Beans, which is different from Java component beans. So that is basically where your application server holds information. So this is the architecture that we will be following, the multi-tier architecture. Okay, so what I did under this week is I've given you a PowerPoint and I've given you a JSP chapter. It's a PowerPoint of the same chapter. So if you are looking into the actual chapter, it is around 38 pages, but it talks about a lot of things. We're not going to be going over everything today, but we'll be looking at different components of this chapter over the course of a few weeks. So as you can see over here, it teaches you how to create a simple JSP page, to how a JSP page is processed behind the scene, to how to create JSP programming constructs. if condition, loops, variables, operators. Everything you learn in Java carries over 100% in JSP. It's exactly the same. The only difference is how you execute it and where you execute it. Okay, but the code is exactly the same. Okay. The only difference is that instead of doing system.out.println, you're not writing it to the console, you're writing it to the web browser. Because your output statements will be different. Your input statements will be different because you're not taking an input from a text field, rather the input is coming from an HTML form. Okay, so your input is changed, your output has changed, but the basic stuff is still Java. Okay, so then you will be looking at how you can work with Java beans, how you can set the properties like getters and setters of the Java bean and how you can use those, and how you can use some of the directives of JSP to make your life a little bit easier, and then wrapping up with the database and JSP. That's the main focus. And the PowerPoint is also around the same lines about Java server pages, which talks about the same components. And here it gives you, rather I should say, the basic information about how the JSP is. If you look at the red box here at the bottom, so basically JSP is embedded right in the middle of your HTML code. So you will write HTML, CSS, JavaScript for everything except for whatever needs to be processed on the server. So if I would like to put the data in the database, then only that logic will be JSP logic. The rest of the page will still be written in pure HTML. Now comes the question, then what will be the file extension of the file? Will it be HTML? No. If it's HTML only, it cannot process Java server pages code. So this will be a JSP file. As you can see in the comment, for example, current time.jsp. So JSP files are processed very differently. How are they processed? Look at slide number 4. So the web browser will request a page from web server. Let's say the page was current time.jsp. Okay. Now, this information comes to the web server. The web server tries to locate that file. Or it could be JSP file.jsp as shown in this example. Okay. So when the web server locates the file, web servers don't understand JSPs. They understand servlets. Servlets are written purely in Java, no HTML, nothing. So for every JSP page or servlet, code will be generated by the web server. It does that behind the scene for you. You don't have to do that. So what it does, when you request a JSP file, it goes and look at the equivalent servlet. And that needs to happen every time. It only is done once. If you update your JSP page, it needs to recreate the servlet equivalent. So the web server will then go to the translator to see if there is a servlet generated already. It looks at that servlet page, gives it over to the servlet engine, and the servlet engine will then translate it to the client form, because clients can only understand HTML and CSS and JavaScript. So even the JSP piece is translated into an equivalent HTML. For example, if I had a Java loop to print 5 records of the table, right? So it will translate that loop into 5 manual instructions. So when the client look at the output, the client is like, oh, who sat there and produced this long table of 200 lines? Nobody did. It was just a loop running 200 times. But the programmer writes a loop that runs 200 times. But on the other end, if you go to the browser and you go to page view source, you see 200 lines of code or 200 lines of text. So that's basically is all done by that servlet engine, hands it over to the web server, which then fulfills the request and send it back. Okay, so let me give you one idea so that to help you understand this process. For example, if I go to Amazon.com and I start looking for Java book, okay, notice the Java book, look at it. How many books I have on this one page? I have 5 per line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have like lots of lines, probably 10, 12 lines, right? What Java developer actually did was he created or she created a nested loop. One loop controls the rows, and one loop controls the items per column. So all they're really generating is a code to generate one book. That's all the programmer coded. And the other logic the programmer coded was after every 5 books, change the line of the table. Just go to the next row. Okay, so the programmer coded one image placeholder, one title placeholder, one author placeholder, one rating placeholder, type, price, and if it's prime or not, and when it will be delivered. That placeholder is replicated 1,000,000 times. Okay, so now to help save time, what server does, it follows a process. If you scroll down to the bottom, it doesn't give you 1,000,000 books on the same page. It follows what we call pagination. Pagination only loads, let's say, 60, 70 books at a time. So the entire data set is on the server. So every time you click on a link on the pagination, it goes back and grabs the next set. Goes back, grab the next set. So that there is minimum amount of traffic coming in. Okay. Also, you see this image over here? This is probably a much scaled down image than the actual image. So they may have multiple variations of the same image. Because 60 books are coming in, if they are each 1 gigabyte, it'll take forever to load one page. So now these are smaller images, maybe like 20, 30 megabytes. So now when you actually click on the book, and you're in now this probably is still, if you look closely, this image is not of the greatest quality, but it is much better quality than it was on the first page. And now this is a different template. Every book will have this template. Every book that loads will follow this template. A placeholder for image, a placeholder for other images, a title, a rating, Kindle price, paper book price, description. So it's all about creating templates. So if Amazon has, let's say, 100 different types of items, they will create 100 templates. One template for a book, one template for clothes, one template for toys, blah, blah. Every time you're looking into that category, that template loads. Okay, so nobody sits there and create those 200 million pages. It's just like they create X number of pages multiplied by the province. Does that make sense? Zoom folks?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So JSP constructs. JSP is written in 3 different forms: expression, scriptlet, declaration. Okay. Now, if I take you back to slide number 3, you notice that we have starting tag, percentage equals to, ending percentage, and closing tag. So the starting percentage and the ending percentage, that is JSP. Equals to means system.out.println. That's equal to that. Okay, so it basically is telling that server generate the current date and time on the server, whatever the current date and time is on the server, send that over to the client, and then that will be displayed. Okay. Now, if the server is in New York, you will see Eastern time. Because now you're not reading the time from the local computer. It is the server that is sending you its time. Okay, so that's one thing we have to be careful about. For that very reason, you notice when we have the daylight savings, when does the time change? For us, 2 in the morning. Why? Why not at midnight? California. Okay. That covers most of the time zone, not all the time zones still. There are other time zones also, but that covers most of the time zones. So when the daylight savings was in place, the California's time zone was the farthest. Because there's a 3-hour difference between New York and California. Hawaii was added much later, like 1960s is when Hawaii became, but daylight savings being going before that.
Like on the East Coast,
3 in the morning, yes. Alaska and Hawaii were added later on to the US. So that's why, they don't really, for them it changes. I don't know how it changes. Probably it's still the same day and they change the clock.
They stop. Are they like stopping?
I see both houses approved it. The president didn't sign on it yet. So if daylight savings were to be stopped, it won't happen until next year. So I don't know. I would like the daylight saving to stop because it's just because we are not living where we were 100 years ago. It's different times. Plus day ending at 4:20 is very depressing.
So depressing. I can't stand it. Like I look outside, I'm getting ready for class, and all of a sudden it's like dark. I just can't,
Yeah.
It's like it's in the middle of the night, like 4 or 5.
By the time it's like 6 o'clock, it's dark. I mean, you feel like it's maybe like 10 p.m.
I know.
Yes, I don't like it either. So
this past Sunday, or when it changed, I had to take my husband to the airport, and he had a 5 a.m. flight. So we were trying to do mental gymnastics, okay, if the time switches back at 2, really what time do we need to get up? How is that going to affect our alarms? It was a nightmare. I'm over all of it.
They have run all sorts of reports on what really happened to people on Monday after the time change. And one of the reasons that was put in place when they were asking for daylight savings to end was there are a lot of deaths and a lot of car accidents the Monday after. Yeah. Because people see there is a biological clock. Yeah, there's a biological clock. So for some people, the biological clock doesn't flips in a day. So as a result, they are in a stress of not getting late. That's why there are a lot of Monday morning heart attacks. And there are a lot of Monday morning accidents because of people still trying to adjust. People not having a good night's sleep on the Sunday night for the Monday morning because they have this constant fear of getting late. Now, some workplaces are very strict about on time. Yeah. I mean, if you're not on time, if you're late by 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you lose half of that day's pay. That kind of stuff. That's crazy. So people for whom half a day's pay makes a day and night difference, that person is in a lot of stress. So yeah.
It's like 87 hours. Let's say they have to do something and they won't be late for that. It's really stressful.
Are we the only one who do the daylight saving like North America? Yeah.
Everywhere else.
It's just yeah. It's just now we have more difference or less difference in hours from the rest of the world. Okay. So now let's go down to this slide again, slide 5. So what did I tell you about this equals to? That it is equal into out.println. So it displays, but it's a single liner. If you just have one line of JSP that you want to just do it and display it right away, that's the way to go. This is called the expression. And then the declarations. If you're creating a function in JSP that you can call, so the function will be created inside something like this. So you will replace the equals with an exclamation mark, and then you will write your function body, and then you can call it from wherever you want to call it from within the page. But the functions will be created inside declaration statements. Okay, then you have the I skipped slide 6, the scriptlets. The scriptlet is traditionally done when you have more than one lines of code and you want it to run in the middle of HTML. So if HTML coming in, then you have a JSP code and then an HTML resumes. One of the good things about this whole process is, let's say you start in a loop in the JSP, but you realize that the loop body 80% could be written in HTML. I should not have to bother the server to do all this conversion. So what you can do is you can come out of the scriptlet, you can write the HTML code, you can go back to the scriptlet, it will still understand that you are in the body of the loop because you did not close the curly braces. So from scriptlet to scriptlet, it will remember the structure. And then the JSP developers try their level best to write in HTML whatever can be written in HTML so that they don't have to spend time on the server trying to translate it into an equivalent HTML code. Okay. So here, for example, we have a for loop to generate factorials. Look at it. We start HTML. We have a for loop, scriptlet. We start a curly brace. We come out of the scriptlet. We write some plain HTML. We go back in the scriptlet, but this time we go in expression. We just display the value of I is, okay? Then we call a function, compute factorial, which is actually written inside a declaration down below. And it will be called inside the loop as many times as you want it to be called. Whatever value it returns will be displayed here. And then you close your curly brace. So in this one short example, you can see all three of them in place. You see the scriptlet, you see the expression, you see the declaration. Okay, make sense? Okay. So now, JSP, you can use variables in JSP, just like you can use variables in Java. So here in this example, also you notice that we use int I as a variable. So or you can pass variables as a parameter like we did here in this JSP declaration. So you can have the variables predefined. And then there are some variables that are predefined by the environment. For example, HTTP servlet will hold the headers like, when a client sends in a request, you can actually read the client's operating system, the client's browser, the client's version, the client's IP address. You can just read all of that information. So this is how a lot of these businesses can tell you that most of our clients use Windows. Most of our clients use Chrome because they receive all this information. Anytime you make a request to any of the web server, they can read all of that information from your browser. So we will actually get to learn about that too when we get that far. So JSP has some predefined variables. Like, for example, if you want to request something from the client, we use the request object. It's a built-in object. And then if we want to send something to the client, we use the response object. So those are the two main objects that we'll be working with in this course. Then you have session object to establish the session. So what is the difference between session and application object? Is that, let's say, all 5 of us connect to the same website at the same time. Each one of us will have a unique session ID. So whatever you do in your session is yours, whatever I do in my session is mine. But if I want any of the information to be shared with all 5 of us, or should be the same across the board, that will be in the application object. Okay, so for example, if there are 5 seats for which we all went and we are each were to receive a seat. So now when I go there and let's say Tony and Jessica are already there, I will see that 3 seats are left.
You can set the capacity, or is there?
I'm just, that is controlled with applications. So as soon as somebody is working on a seat, I can instruct the application variable to go down by 1. Okay, so I yeah.
Sorry, so that's the help computing power, so like say you don't want a million people on at once because it would crash your server. So you have to limit the amount.
Oh, that's a totally different deal. That is the web administrative deal that they can set a cap to the number of connections.
So I guess I don't understand why you want only a certain amount of seats.
I'm just giving an example, you know, the kind of information that you would put in an application variable is something that is shared between the sessions.
Very cool.
Okay, and something that is individual to each session will be in the session variable, such as your logging in, your login out. After you log in, putting your username in the session. So when you go from page to page, it knows that you are the user. For example, in an email, after you sign in, it doesn't matter which link you click on and remember it's you. Because your session is now established. As soon as you hit log out, what do? You tell the web server, kill my session. So it just clears out the memory for that particular connection. Okay. So for example, if you open Chrome and you go to your Gmail account, then you open Firefox and try to go to that same Gmail account, it will force you to sign in again. Because that connection was made with the Chrome session. Not with the computer, it was made with the application.
Same thing with Blackboard for gateway, their session expired all the time.
Exactly.
And the programs made that, said if you don't touch anything for 10 minutes.
Yep, that's actually something that we can set in the at the server level, that when or how quickly to time out the session. So that's a session timeout. So for sensitive information like banks, how do you figure out if the session is inactive? Well, you feed that into the web server, that if the client doesn't do anything on the page or between pages for, let's say, a minute, end the session automatically. For non-sensitive or less sensitive, the session time is a little bit longer.
Oh, that's really cool.
Okay. So that's basically what goes in the session information. And then the page directives basically revolve around the process that how you basically communicate between the pages.
What's
So
really refreshing is I take the computer programming C class with Alan on Wednesdays, and we're learning about garbage collection and basically data deconstruction and it's storage. But the fact that Java doesn't need to do that is very, very cool.
Java does it automatically
Yeah.
for you, right? The garbage
It's
collection.
a pain to learn in C++.
Oh, in C++.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, C++, yeah. So anyway, that basically gives you some basic information as to how things are. Before we get any further, this is the source code that you saw in the PowerPoint. So you will structure your HTML document and you will simply put JSP where needed. So that's what basically, it's the same information that's in the PowerPoint, explained a little bit better in this document.
Or we can use Eclipse to write this.
Well, Eclipse has two versions. The version of Eclipse we were using was not meant for Enterprise Edition. The Enterprise Edition Eclipse is different. So Eclipse, Java Eclipse Enterprise Edition needs to be downloaded as a separate software to work with JSP and Servlet. Because what you do is when you bring in the Java Enterprise Edition for Eclipse, then you can load a web server into it. Okay, and what we will do is we'll do a test here by going to one login. And after we go to one login, we will log into V2 Cloud. And when you are reading V2 Cloud, let me know and I'll tell you what to open.
We won't be able to do it on our own. Off of the V2.
I will, I'll tell you how to do that because it's the same process. However, since we will be eventually working with DB2, so that's why I want to be in V2 Cloud for that.
Just, and I don't mean to be whiny, but just because the user experience is V2, do you think there'll be an issue of creating majority of the project?
No. I mean, like, if you are creating majority of your project outside, you can always import your files. Yeah. So for people on Zoom, when you are in V2 Cloud, let me know if you're green check. Say again.
How do you load on the this when I log in, it does it just take me to my gateway.
Oh, go to bbc.onelogin.com. No, you just go to bbc.onelogin.com. Then it's there. Whenever you guys are in V2 Cloud, then open Blackboard inside the V2 Cloud. Because we need to download the server file, the Apache server, from the Blackboard into the V2 Cloud. I didn't, I mean, technically, can you go to V2 Cloud from within V2 Cloud? I never tried that, but I am technically, yeah, you should be able to do that.
Wait, is he technically, no. I don't know, that's weird.
It's like a whole separate desktop.
What are your opinions on V2?
Well, there are days when it's okay, then there are days when it sucks.
Be really slow, just a lot.
Okay, everybody done here? Logging the V2 Cloud, Tony? Fine, okay. So when you are inside the V2 Cloud, did you also go in the Blackboard within the V2
Yeah.
Cloud? Yeah, okay, okay. So now here, if you scroll down, you'll find Apache Zip. Click on the Apache Zip. And also open RDI,
Yeah.
IBM Rational Developer for. Now, IBM Rational Developer for I can also be used as a Java application development platform. Right. So that's why you have this workspace. That's where it saves your Java files.
I'm on like my button one. It's getting broken. That's where I think it was Tuesday, I went through like 6 of.
Not a frustration, this application. I don't appreciate our yet. I'm hoping you'll give me a new appreciation for it next week.
Okay, we do not need the RSE here, so I can cancel that. You can go in the window menu and go to preferences. Oh, and also I make sure that you unzip your Apache that you downloaded. So make sure you right click and unzip it. Everybody unzipped? Oh, it's still downloading it? Okay, okay. Give me green check Zoom, guys, when you're done unzipping it, and in the RDI when you are where I am in the preferences.
Whatever computer this V2 is hooked up to. It's like hosting it, it's a beast. There's 128 gigs of RAM. It's got a 16-core processor.
I know.
Is there a disk size on it?
For the V2 Cloud, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. I mean, like, we have to negotiate that with them every now and then, when the contract renewal takes place, the number of licenses they'll be using at a time and the disk space, yeah.
Okay, so once it's extracted,
If there's a way, do we go on the green screen? We've already on it.
Yeah, you go to the connection, host connection, and you were right click on it. And we start hosting it. And
Not right. Not go back.
Okay, everybody's good? Zoom people are good. Now in this preferences, if you scroll down, you will find server. Open server. In the server, click on runtime environment. Find it, everybody? Runtime environments? Okay. Now click add. Here you will find several different environments to choose from. Our focus will be to go to the Apache instead of IBM. And one second, Apache doesn't have this. Why is Apache like that here? Let me test this, okay? So with an HTTP server to see how it does. I don't know why it doesn't has the proper Apache servers. It's strange. Well, letting me run this. I don't know why the rational developer doesn't have the support for Apache. Now, it does not even list Apache as one of the runtime environments. I mean, if I can't see it, you guys can't see it either. Um, Let me try a different solution here then. To see if that would work. Say it again.
Very like a lot, like last nice day we had. It's super cold last day.
Oh, really?
But, like 30.
Oh, yeah, it's in 30s and 20s.
And it's, you know, beautiful.
Well, it's November, right?
Yeah.
We're in Wisconsin, so. What we had last week was bonus.
Yeah, pretty much.
We really don't get that kind of weather in Wisconsin in November, but yeah, so, okay, so I downloaded. Okay, also do one thing, rather, instead of asking you guys to do it, I will try this.
And do this on V two.
Don't do anything. Let me test it first. It's RDI is not working, so I will.
Next zero. All right. Oh, yeah, it doesn't work. Fine. No. Funny, have you been on the office ago?
Yeah, I've been playing for the past 2 days, a little bit, just like the game's so short, and my brother loves playing it, and he tries to tell me, "Do more fun," I'm like, dude, I'm doing homework, I don't have time. Like, bro, the games are 5 minutes long. You're right, that's when I ended up playing for like a half hour, 45. I'm at like driving with you right now. Show you it. So I'm still working up there, I just. You're playing, I feel like it's hit with the right people think that. Do I have you added as a friend on there? I don't have it through Steam, I have it through Epic Games. Oh, I see, I got it. But you have the Epic Games. But it should like transfer over. I don't know that I have Epic Games on. Yeah. Actually, I probably do. No, dude, that's how you, have I been up? No, I haven't. I'm a, team. Yeah, no, dude, I love a lot of things too, but, honestly, like, well, and that's what's cool about, they realized that everybody likes octanes and started just making all the new part of the octane. It's not, it's just like, I have an octane hot wheels car. Oh, really? Like a real one. Oh, that's sick. Not like real, it's like, yeah. But only like partly out of I'm sorry? The only part of it all over, like, that's wrong with a huge size of octane. Right, yeah. I totally agree. I don't like my cars, like, confidence to bring out. Yeah, it is. I mean, you get nutty like air removal and really play, but I ain't that good. Well, sorry. I'm trying to log into Epic so I can edit the time. But it's make me log in. I mean, maybe my friends gave me back in middle school. Everything scared out. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I can now launch. Spaces.
I've had in the past, but I don't have enough time to play. I play a lot of Apex and Rocket right now. Apex, but it's why? I used to like really play with my friends and I CHIS zero shit. Yeah. No, actually, no, it closed it. If that doesn't work, you line up and you. No, it literally just closed my Epic Games. That doesn't work, you might have to add some more to it. Here, no, I just didn't get the, here, I'm gonna add to that, times zero. SBIR. Yeah, what's the rest of it? CHIR. Yeah. No, that's it. Right.
You can play with mouse on keyboard. It's fun. Okay. I know someone that does play mouse keyboard and it's change one.
You know how much better you'd be if it wasn't on.
I know, yeah, I'm surprised.
It's. That's just.
I know. There are some pros. that
Okay,
are-
guys, let's do this. All of you on V2 Cloud, click that search box and type Eclipse. And you will see Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java developers as one of the icons.
Your goals are, yeah.
Yeah, you can close RDI.
You said that.
I mean, yeah, close RDI and then search and click on Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java developers. Okay, let me close mine as well.
What's the PHP one?
We will learn about PHP next semester, so there is an Eclipse for PHP as well. So that's why it's there. Okay, so Eclipse. So now when this environment loads, it's slightly different than the traditional Eclipse environment. It gives you a little gray thingy. Let me get that far so I can direct you how to work with that.
Should we close RDI then?
Yeah, close RDI and everybody is right here on the launch, right? So if you go to the workspaces, you probably do not see your workspace as one of the workspaces, right?
Yeah,
Right? Or you do?
I know.
You know, okay. So for example, for me, a workspace is already there. So I will remove all others and just keep that one. Otherwise, you can click on add an existing or create a new workspace. Okay, so go ahead, click on that, and then it will ask you what would you like, where you want to place this workspace, what you want to call it. So for example, I'm calling mine JEE, my initials, FA22.
I just do my student ID on that page one too.
I mean, whatever, you know, and then hit enter, and then I'm gonna load that workspace for you.
Is not a launch.
Is it my supposed to be doing it on usage desktop?
No, don't gonna do it on the usage desktop, just click on your desktop and then. Oh, because you're on my desktop, don't use my desktop. Is rather. Workspaces. Oh, and again, oh, that happened to me once. Let me try to get it. I'm gonna try to get it. Just fine. It didn't go this, you made the start last time. Okay.
You like started it and then it immediately went to the.
Yeah, the problem with JV cloud is that since even though we're all logged in as on separate computers, but we share a resource. That's why you probably might have defaulted. Okay, how we doing the Zoom folks? Jessica got it, Luke?
It's giving me an error when I try to create the workspace.
Oh, yeah, a lot of people are getting the error. Can you share your screen? I will be able to walk you through the process.
Yeah, one sec.
Can we take our random event?
Yeah, if you guys want to take a break around here, that's fine. I will also walk. Okay, actually, the thing is this, that you are, what does it say? Users, after users, does it say my name?
Yeah, I changed that though, and it didn't.
No,
I
no,
launched it
don't-
again and didn't change anything.
Yeah, don't do it that way. Hit the browse button, hit the browse link. And then click on your documents, for example. Yeah, and then click select folder.
Select. I have no folder.
There's a select folder button in the bottom right corner.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay. And then after documents, put a slash. And after a backslash, put your name. And then hit enter. It didn't come this far last time, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't see this. Yeah, I think I'm good then.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So when this will launch, it will launch and you will see a welcome screen. And you can close that welcome tab. And then let's take a break till 10:10. The in-person people are on break right now, so let's resume at 10:10. So I am under window menu and I'm under preferences. In the preferences, I am scrolling down to server. And then I'm choosing runtime environments. And let me click add.
What if we don't have a server option?
So again,
What if we don't have a server option in our preferences?
you should, but are you in Eclipse or are you in Eclipse Enterprise Edition?
That might be the problem. Hold on one second. I opened the Eclipse IDE.
Yeah, you probably are in Eclipse. So go back and look for Eclipse Enterprise.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
Okay, that was the problem. I got it. I know how to set up. I'll catch up. You can keep going.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting till you are here.
Sorry.
Do like a quote. You do the quote for that. That one thing. Yeah, you just do like the thing. Let's hold you. It's like bill,
Okay, I'm there.
Okay, I mean, I waited because I really did not want you to be mad like Jesse.
Right. Inside the loop.
Oh my gosh.
Amount that you just found for the thing.
Okay, sure. So now here we scroll down to guys. So we scroll down to Apache Tomcat version 8. And we hit next. Yes, version 8, hit next. Then you hit the browse button. And then you can go to the downloads folder. That's where you had your Apache Tomcat. Double click to open that folder. it will have another Apache Tomcat folder under that. Click on that one and then click select folder.
Oh, that's one. I can't find these two. I cannot find them. So it's the second.
Yeah,
structure.
yeah. So you second folder. And then you hit select folder and then you hit finish. Okay, so you should all be able to see Apache server 8.0 in the list. And then you click apply and close. Okay, cool, awesome. Now, in the list of the projects, okay, all of you can see Project Explorer on the left, right?
Yeah.
Okay, click on Dynamic Web Project. Dynamic Web Project will bring this dialog box. Let's call this one Week 1 JS P. And make sure that your ER membership is unchecked and work settings is unchecked. I don't remember if 3.1 did not work, then we will go down to one of the older editions, but let's leave it at 3.1 for now. Otherwise, we'll create a different project and then we'll delete this one. Hit next. Next. And finish. Just wanted to check all the properties. So many version differences is hard to remember.
How
Okay,
many classes do you have?
no, it's just like so many versions of Eclipse.
No, I know, I mean, just in general, like this class, and then how many like languages and software.
Oh, yeah, you have like, yeah. So now we expand on the Project Explorer. And then you will see here web content, right? As one of this is where your stuff will go. So if you right click on web content and go to new, and you'll find JSP file in the list. All of you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you click on JSP file. Let's call this one test.jsp. Hit next. We are using HTML5 as our standard. And then we will hit finish. Okay. Now let me go under preferences to change.
Right back on what?
No, I'm I'm okay with that. I just want to increase the editor font. No, it's not for Java editor. Maybe it's under
Is it just terminal? I don't know.
basic. Oh, it's under basic. Yeah, basic. Under basic, the text font. Apply close. Okay. Now here, I will type new java.util.date. Oops. Today is. Can you guys read okay, or do you want me to go to the light mode?
No, I'm good. Wow, that's perfect. I prefer that.
Zoom guys, you go okay?
Yeah, looks fine.
Okay, now let me right click on this to go to run as and run on server. So let me choose version 8. And hit next. And finish. It's running, it's running, it's running, it's running, it's running, it's running, and hey, we got it. Awesome.
No,
So you right click on it and you go to run as, and you go to run on server. And then you choose version 8 and then you hit next.
yeah. Could I be possibly using your server? I got a server, several ports, 8005, 8080, 8009 required by Comcast.
Oh, okay. Okay, if anybody gets an error of port number. Oh, really, you have a different error. Yeah, you're right, because we are sharing the resource. I ran it first, so I automatically got the port number. Okay, so Luke and Jessica, you probably may be getting the port number error too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm getting that.
Yeah,
You're using them.
so basically down below, do you guys see the server tabs? A tab down below called servers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will stop. So because of the port number being already being used, okay? You double click on that server. Got it? Okay, something like this will load for you, like what's loading for me. Okay, so now these are my numbers, as you can see. Do you have the same numbers? Okay, so let's come up with different sequences. So for example, I'm in 8,000, right? So Tony, you can be in 8,100, and Spiro can be in 8,200, and Jessica 8,300, and Luke 8,400. So just add the 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever your number I gave you in the second placeholder for all the 3 numbers. So all you need to do is click on it and change that second number to. Okay, and then when you're done, then save the changes by simply saving, close the tab and rerun the server.
I like that way of making your ports.
So now we could just right click on the test.jsp, run as, run the server. And this time, and then hit next and finish. And that should let you run. Got it? Got it? Jessica and Luke got it? So
Yeah, it's working now.
This is cool. It's like I'm like a hacker. Can I get enterprise Java on my PC?
Yeah. It's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. Yeah. So again, Tony was asking about downloading. So all you got to do is you go to eclipse.org and you go to their downloads page, or you can directly go to downloads page from Eclipse. Okay, so when you start the download process, it will give you a dialog box. Okay, in the dialog box, it will ask you which version of Eclipse you want to download. So you pick Eclipse Enterprise Edition. Okay, so and then it will download the Eclipse Enterprise Edition. They used to have separate executables for each one of them before. So now they have launched an installer. So you just download the installer, and in the installer, you pick which version you want. Exactly.
So if you already have the installer, then I experience one installer.
So if you already have it, yeah, but then this gives you the latest one that may still try to look for an older version. So, okay, the other thing is, since I did this on my personal computer yesterday, I ran into one error. So let me share that error video with you guys on the Blackboard and how to fix that error. So let me add that fix right here, because if you guys run into that same error that I did, then you will know how to fix it.
We're gonna watch an hour or later.
Yeah, you can, if you run into that error. So I will just put that right at the top. Right at the top of week 9. Okay, unit 9. How to fix that Eclipse double E error. And I will quickly show you, just so that you know what that error is. Just give me 5-10 seconds. Okay, so I'm actually showing you in the video, if you run into this error. Okay, so this is when your INI file, the initialization file in Eclipse Enterprise Edition is missing a launch instruction. So how to put that launch instruction in there, and then it fixes the problem. So yeah, so I just made that solution video last night. Okay. I mean, I've made so many solution videos for my students that has benefited so many people. Like, remember the Java effects thingy?
Anything on it online. Nobody else.
Other people might have done that too, I'm pretty sure.
It's necessary to learn. When you're messing around with Java and the graphical user interface.
Yeah.
Kind of off topic question, but do you know when the midterms will be graded?
Oh, yeah, I need to work on those. Yeah. This weekend, I will work on those. Yeah. Let me close these tabs. Okay, now back to. So at least we get to learn to see the basic stuff. Let's now create our next JSP file. We'll call this one welcome.jsp. Welcome.jsp. And here, instead of the expression, I will use scriptlets. Now in Java, traditionally, if you were to use a Java class, you have two ways of doing it. Either you can list the package right there and then, or you could write an import instruction, right? So here in JSP, how to write an import instruction, let me teach you. Go all the way to the top of your page and write a page directive. If you, I don't know if you guys remember in the PowerPoint, there was request, response, session, application, and there was a page directive. So that's what you're looking at right now. So we are now importing java.util, and I want to import everything from the package. For example, if I want to do it, I can just mention one class as well. But here I'm just incorporating multiple classes from the package. So the whole package is imported into my application now.
That.
Asterisk mean all the classes from the package, right? Exactly. Now, in the body, I'll have my header.
How do you comment?
Commenting
Is it just
is,
slash?
no, this is how you, I'll show you.
Oh, slash star.
No. It is exclamation hyphen hyphen and close with hyphen hyphen exclamation hyphen, yeah. This is, yeah, so this is in HTML, but if you are inside the scriptlet, then you will use the Java way of doing it. Okay. So, but if you're inside the source code for Java, then you will have this for single line comment and this for multi-line comment, but that's on inside Java only. Okay. So we have header, H1. So now this is where I will display the date in scriptlets versus displaying it in expression. So I'll create a date object. And notice I did not have to incorporate the import instruction because that's already coming from the line number 2. So I created my date object. Now comes the question, how will you display this output on the screen? So I will use the out object dot println. So we don't have the system because system was on the console. Out at this level means on the client. Oops, I just misspelled welcome. So I'm coding this on HTML5 standards. So that's why I'm creating the HTML5 tags, semantic tags for header, section, and footer. Let's test it however much we have coded. So just simply go to run as on server. Again, restart this.
You did this on welcome or?
Yeah, on welcome, of course, because welcome is the one that I'm testing. So now you can see that the welcome to JSP is coming directly from HTML, and today is also coming from HTML, but the rest of this last part is coming from JSP. Okay. If you right click on the page and click on view source, notice that in the view source, whatever you wrote in JSP was converted to plain text. Friday, November 11th, that's all plain text. Okay, because server, when sends information to the client's web browser, converts it from JSP to HTML or plain text. So this you won't know what part of page was generated by what code, because all you will see as a client is all HTML and text. Okay. Now let's come back to footer. Address, copyright, ampersand, copy, semicolon. And in the section, I'm declaring a copyright variable and setting it to 2022. It's completing. Multiple annotations. Oh, sorry, integer. My bad. Since I'm teaching Python in the mornings too, Python doesn't have a data type. You just write the variable and equals to a value. Monday through Thursday in the mornings, I teach Python for high schoolers. So,
All right.
yeah. It is basically multiple Racine County schools come as far as Waterford. And then a couple and a couple of Racine County high schools. So they come to the IMED Center in Citroen, where I run class for them. They're in the data analytics program.
Wow.
Now, yeah.
They send them that kind of area,
So again,
so like Case High School, like that kind of.
yeah. So I don't have anybody from Case, but yeah, so there are Racine County and Waterford.
I
see.
remember when I was high school in Europe, we had a couple classes like that.
Uh,
I think it was like intro programming and machine programming.
I got a really weird error and I cannot seem to find out what it's about.
Hover over here. Save the changes. And refresh. Okay, that's.
Sorry.
Sometime Eclipse. Okay, now down below on line number 26. We want to tap onto this variable that we declared on line 26 to display the value right from the variable. So we will use an expression like that. So grab the value and display it. And now go ahead and refresh, and you will see on the very last, you don't have to rerun it, just keep the tab open and then hit the refresh.
Oh,
That's
Okay.
cool.
that is
Okay.
good.
So when you hit refresh, it just goes back and regenerates the servlets and give you a new servlet.
That is good.
I like VS Code's like live thing. That thing is pretty sweet. I did that in my first, like the introduction to internet programming or something like that. But it was really cool that anytime you change anything, it automatically go. But this is like the closest thing I've ever seen to that, and then it kind of better.
Because this is on the server, so
Yeah.
yeah, you want it to regenerate the servlet. Okay, so we have used variable in one scriptlet and used it in another. So it just carries over. Whatever you declare at the server level, it's not like JavaScript that is only within that script tag. It can just carry over in the entire page.
What happens if you don't put that period?
Oh, I just put that period just to show you guys something outside the expression, which is not needed inside the JSP. So that period is just like a period.
When I took it off and put the 2022 back.
This is how it is for me. Copyright
Yeah,
at 2022 and a period. Yeah, just period. It's like, at the end of sentence. Yeah.
Okay, something was weird again.
Okay.
I just had a copyright C in 2022. And there wasn't a period, so I was like, I took the period away and then it was just 2022, and I'm like, wait.
That is really good.
Okay, let's go down to line number 23. And we're gonna have a declare strings. Current. Precedent. Future. Precedent is It's very rare that your initials are the same letters. Rika Raju. RR. So yeah. And let me show you a couple of ways of doing things. So this is one way of displaying everything within JavaScript. Sorry, within JSP, sorry. Current president. Current president. Oh, I misspelled current. Current, that's fine. Okay, this is one way of displaying it. Let me show you the other way outside the JSP. Anything that does not needs to be in JSP, some developers take this approach. VR, future president. So only use Java's server pages where needed, leave rest in HTML. So compare lines 24 to line 26. They both will have similar outputs, except for line 26 only needs the variable to be converted, and line 24 needs the entire expression to be converted into an equivalent servlet. And then you save the changes and refresh, and you can now see the outputs. And you can't tell the difference if you right click and click on view source. You can't really tell the difference. They both translate to the same instruction.
Cool.
Okay.
So we're gonna be coding our project in this.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
The whole thing?
Hmm?
The whole thing?
You can actually code your HTML and CSS even outside, and then import those files over.
So Visual Studio.
Yeah, the only thing I have to check is when we hit the database part. Is to see if we have to be on V2 Cloud for the database part.
All you
Yeah.
have to do for that is just email ourselves and copy it as zip and then just import it to our V2 though, right? Well, if it's not set up with the right.
Yeah. So again, we'll see. The next week or when we get to the database part.
Cool.
Okay. So next thing. Here, oops, here, right now. Double equals to double budget 2022. And double budget 2023 is, let's say if it is 10% more than the budget 2022. So I will take budget 2022 times 1.10. I'm doing these activities just to show you that those operators that you have learned before still work the same way here. The only difference is that you're doing things in scriptlets. Now I'll take the line 26 approach and paste it twice. One for 2022 budget. and the other one for 2023 budget. Okay, now let's say I want to format this a little bit better. So I want to use Java decimal format. Java decimal format is another package, which comes from another package called java.text. So scroll back to line number 2, and within the double quotes of import, put a comma. This is how you can list several imports. That besides java.util, I also need java.text, and I'm importing all the classes from that package as well. So you can list several packages that you want to import right at the top. Okay, now let's come down here. And where I'm listing my variables of type double.
You do text star.
Yeah, dot star, java.text dot star within the double quotes, and make sure that both are comma separated. Both packages are comma separated. Okay. So now let's come down here right after budget 2023. I will create my decimal format object. And let me come with the decimal format. And on line number 32, I can just do df.format. Let me see. Does it needs to be converted to a string? No, what is this complaining about? No, it works fine. I don't know why Eclipse is complaining. You go ahead and refresh your output and it should be fine. Okay, now do one thing, go to your decimal format and put a comma before the 3 hashtags. And then refresh your output and you'll see that it's comma delimited. It's comma separated. Just put a comma before the 3 hashtags in front of them, and then you refresh the output. And notice that after every 3 digits, it puts a comma.
Where, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
On line 30,
Okay.
you see a little comma,
Right.
right in front. Yeah.
That's weird, I still have that error, but it works.
Yeah, I don't, this is Eclipse.
Or the hashtags like this one.
Hashtags are like placeholder. It's like formats. You're basically building a format that I want up to 2 decimal places. And after each 3, I want to put a comma. Everybody on the Zoom doing okay here? Getting along okay?
Yeah,
Luke, good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool, awesome. Now, I will incorporate this whole thing in italics. Just to give you another look into how what you can do, and you will see after change. Put the closing tags right there. That's better. And you'll see that the dollar amount along with the dollar sign is italics. Okay.
Yeah.
I just put I around this, including the dollar sign. So you can see that I around an expression also affects the text in the expression. So any HTML tag that you write around any of the output, JSP output instructions will have its effect on the output instruction as well. Now let's scroll back up to the top, inside the head, in the title. So title is where you control the text on the tab. Okay, so this is my welcome JSP page. And right past that, I want to write some style, like CSS style. And I want the address tag to be font family Arial. Font size 0.9 em. And later letter spacing to be 2 pixels. And then when you do that, you simply refresh the output and you will see that the address area appears slightly different than what was before. Let me try to also color it so that you can see the color difference. Color blue. And I'm adding a bit of a margin to it. So you'll see that whatever I wrote in the CSS not only affects the HTML, but also affects the JSP variable, because everything gets affected on the client side. So the JSP will do all its translation into plain text, send it everything over to the client's web browser. That's when the CSS will be applied. Okay. Okay, so that's how the output looks like. Okay. Now let me go back here. So just like we have used multiplication, addition, subtraction, division, all those operators work exactly the same way. No difference in that. Okay. Now let's add some more variables here. Integer. Kenosha students. Racine students. And Alcorn, what's it, Walworth. Students. Integer. Total students. Equals to. Kenosha. seen. This to show you guys how you can apply the operators exactly the same way as before. Now, let's create HTML table in which we will display the output. So in HTML table, we can have a table row and heading tag. Locations. And count, student count. Student. One, two, three, four. So after that, we'll have 4 of these. Or you know what? I'm gonna do a TD one. Hold on a second. Just have one more and we'll fix that first and then we will copy it. So let's do Kenosha County students. And then let me copy that. 1, 2, 3. That I've never seen that.
Right.
No, I've never seen something that's fully so crappy. Hmm? Yeah, that's Walworth County. Oh, you're right. It should be Walworth County. You're right. Walworth County. Okay, so now after that, if we refresh, you will see an output like in a table format. Here's my output. I'll show you again, my table's code.
That's perfect. This is really cool.
Then we'll grab the data from the database. That will still be coming to the table format, but instead of variables, it will be variables getting values from database.
Yeah. And then that would be easy to do because you can get it.
Yep, and then we will be looping through the records instead of having Kenosha County we've seen and wall work being manually done. So those county names could be coming from a database with the number of students, and we can just loop through the record set.
And it would be like, you could do individual fields too, right?
Yeah, so we can have individual fields, and then we wouldn't have to do so much manual work.
Yeah.
And more like
that's really
dynamic
cool.
stuff.
I like that it's starting to get deeper into where you can use multiple tools in one thing, so now. About to build an entire like web application. Really cool.
Exactly. So now let's scroll back up to these styles. So let's use some styles here. So all of these properties that I'm writing are at the table level. Okay, so that gives this table a look and feel like a television because of the border radius 15 pixels. Would have to individually work with the TD and TH and probably do some properties specifically for TH, that kind of stuff we can do.
I think this is a lot better than like last time over here, and I know we're not gonna get away between like the crazy quotations, but it's getting me a little bit better, because it's not just quotations, you know, you're using like the carrots and the percent sign instead of the weird quotation to enter and take your variable data into the HTML versus what we were doing for, I think that was Java FX, right? So. No, it was an XML document. And we were-
Yeah, but that was a totally different thing. Yeah, this is a blend of technologies in the same page. You will see something like that too again when we are grabbing stuff from the database. Yeah. Okay, so we will do one more. We'll do a pseudo class nth child. That for all the even rows in the table, I want to have a background. And all the odd rows. I want the background. Like that.
Cool, this is cool.
So basically what we have done here is we have created banded rows. Banded rows is where every alternate row has the same color. That's called banded rows, in fact.
Super cool.
So we have put together here our JSP with our HTML and CSS all together. Sparrow, you have a different output or you're fine?
The table, I think. Different font, I don't know why. I had Oh, it's cool. It's like this sort of stuff. Very early fine size. Literally, but, oh, you missed it. Thank you.
That is the perfect font for, that's the perfect font for Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's cursive.
The dad joke.
Dad jokes, right? Better than dead jokes.
Your dad jokes are unrivaled. Your dead jokes are unrivaled.
So, anyway, so guys, what I want you to do during the week is this. Between today and next week, Friday, you will think of your idea that you want to build for your project on. I gave you the gist of it and what operations you need to do. And as we start going into that direction, you will know how to incorporate those into your project. So for now, you need to just come up with an idea of, okay, I want to do a read, update, insert, delete on. I gave you some examples, like one example was dog shelter, member, games, products, whatever your idea is, and then start building the basic HTML, CSS template, look and feel, and all of that stuff. So by the next class, you will have those things done so that as we start learning new things, you can go back and start incorporating those.
I just had an example. So I played this card game and in order to have a deck, you need to have 100 cards.
Okay.
So I was thinking I could do like a literal deck, like application that would have each name and like the certain things about it, maybe the price, or even what set it's in. And then you can add, insert, delete from it, and then it's basically like a catalog for the deck that you have. And you can
I mean, however you want to, whichever example you want to exercise, that's fine. As long as your end product will have those 4 components to it, that you will be able to insert information, delete existing information, update existing information, and select the existing information. As long as you can do those 4 operations, doesn't matter what product you choose.
Very cool.
Is everybody on the Zoom also clear about it? Jessica and Luke?
Yep.
Magic.
Okay, cool. So when we meet next time, I will gonna then ask everybody what idea they came up with. Okay, so I'll see you guys next week. And that's what you need to be working on.
Hey, thanks, Saad.
Take care. Good night.
Bye.
Yeah, remember, I mean, like, just go to the Eclipse launcher thingy. Yeah.
And then we can download that to our personal PC and we can just open that project and have better time.
Right. And then also remember that under Unit 9, I have given you the Apache server.
Yeah.
So you can just download the Apache server, and under installing, these are all the YouTube videos. So under installing, you'll find a video of server, if you forgot how to add a server.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
yeah,
I feel like what we did today is way better than like.
The XML stuff.
Internet programming?
oh, okay, yeah, because in internet programming, you were completing the tutorials in the book.
Yeah.
And those tutorials were sometimes 50% done. And you're only putting in bits and pieces of information. So it could be getting overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just seems more efficient, you know?
Well, I appreciate you, Chris.
Take
See
care.
you next week, all right?
take care. Good night. Good day.